what was your pathway into the GB team?
Yeah, so I started rowing at school when I was 14. I was not very sporty before that. I hated PE. I did anything I could to get out of it. I was very overweight. I came like second last at school cross country, but one of my friends wanted to try rowing and she didn't know anyone at the school club, so she asked me if I'd go along with her, and I did, thinking it would be for one session. And I just really enjoyed it, so I rowed at school until sixth form, and then after that I had trialled a bit while I was a junior, so I did Coop twice when I was 16 and 17. I was a 1 year junior, so I knew in my last year of school I wanted to try under 23s, and I thought to do that I'd be better training with an older group. So I moved just down the river to Tees Rowing Club where we trained together, and there was a start programme at Tees, and obviously I'm a lightweight, so I'm not a typical start figure person, but they were really kind. They let me on that programme to train with the group and with the coach, and that sort of really kick-started me there. Just training with older athletes and like sort of under 23 trialists, I really saw the next stage of development and the next level I needed to perform at. So I did that. I went to under 23s more for experience really, but I went in my single in my last year of college, and then when I left school I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I loved rowing, but I didn't see it as a career at that point. So I thought I'd take a gap year, row while I was working it out. But 1 year turned into 2, turned into 3, and yeah, I just really loved rowing, loved training full time. Went through, I guess, the traditional route, under 23s up to seniors. I was selected to go to my first senior world champs in 2011 off the back of winning in 2011 in my single at under 23s, just as development to get exposed.
Was that your first year, 23s? Or?
So my first year was in 2009, so I did single and then lightweight double, and then went back in the single, and that's when I won. So won in 2011 at under 23s. Then off the back of that they sent me to seniors a few weeks later just to get exposed to that, and that was probably actually the experience that then made me want to keep going to be a senior and want to try for the Olympics the year after, just because I got to watch the lightweight double race in real life and see all of these amazing athletes, and I was like, I want to do that too. And then yeah, I trialled the year after. I actually had started uni at that point thinking, oh, I don't know if it's going to happen for me, so I should probably get a proper job. But about 3 weeks in, I was trying to balance training to try and go to the Olympics with my degree, and it wasn't really working. And I just thought, if I don't give this a shot this year, it's a home Olympics, I'll always regret it. Even if I don't get picked, I don't care, at least I'll know, and I won't be like, oh, what if I tried? So I turned back up home with all my stuff in my car, and my mum was like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm gonna row this year. Yeah, and then went to London and just stayed on the senior team for that until Rio, and then after for a few years until 2019 when I retired.
Awesome. So you spoke a bit about the START programme.
Yeah.
So how did you find it in that programme? Like, what was your experience in it?
Yeah, for me it was really positive. I think I had a slightly different experience from a lot of START athletes in that by the time I joined the programme, I knew how to row. I'd been to a few Coop competitions, so it wasn't worlds, but I'd had a bit of exposure to international racing. I was pretty good for a junior. So I didn't learn to row on it, but for me it just gave me so much in my career. It gave me access to some amazing coaches. I loved the setup at the T-Start programme where I got to train with, there was men, women, juniors, under 23s, seniors, people who'd been to Worlds, people who were literally on a rope off the jetty, like learning how to like put their blades in the boat, and I just think you can learn so much from each other in that setup. So the diversity I loved. Yeah, so for me it was really helpful and really positive.
Yeah. And I think for me, like with my experience through the programme, being someone who joined later into a bit later into sport when I was nearly 19, and not having those few years of, you know, just trying to enjoy rowing and not try and, because I felt like I was always chasing or playing catch up with a lot of athletes, and almost having that experience of not even being on a full programme straight away and just maximising training 3 times a week instead of training 2 or 3 times a day straight away is massively beneficial to your longevity and just sort of general experience as well. Right?
Yeah, and that is actually a good point. I think I do feel really lucky that I learned at school, or I had done some before I went on to start.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely no flaw of the programme, you know, it's funded and it's focused towards making Olympians and making medalists. And with that aim, you need to be quite focused and directed, and it is quite an intense programme and pathway. But I loved having the years and the space before to go to like all the local like tin can regattas, get in a minibus with my friends, just go, like, we weren't thinking about racing for GB, we were just like, we really want to win Durham Regatta and Tees Regatta, and that, I think that gives you like a real raw love for the sport that then carried me through, and it teaches you a lot about racing. Like, I know you were J14 and I was 15 and probably rowing rubbish, but actually you really learn how to race well at those levels if you get exposed to it a lot growing up.